Okay, guys, welcome back to another edition of Rotten Reviews. On this edition, this episode, I'm going to take a look at the 2004 movie Catwoman with Halle Berry. It has a 9% tomato meter rating and an 18% audience score. It is certainly rotten. It certainly deserves those scores. Personally, I found this movie much more enjoyable than those scores suggest. I found it enjoyable because of how ridiculous it was to laugh at, and I found it enjoyable because I just couldn't take my mind or my eyes off of Halle Berry in her sex goddess cat suit, of which there's more variations of it than one. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's hard to concentrate on this movie other than just like watching Halle Berry jump around in a very enticing fashion. Otherwise, this thing is completely rotten. I'll agree with that. It is largely a romantic comedy shoehorned into a ridiculous comic book plot. This is certainly an example of how low DC went. DC Comics, they can be bagged for things like Batman versus Superman. They can be bagged for Suicide Squad. But you really have to go back to this 2004 movie to bag on them properly to see how low they can really go when they want to go low. And again, I say they kind of wanted to go low because they allowed Catwoman to have her comic book name changed to Patience. They allowed her to become a Jekyll and Hyde type character who, as the character of Patience, she is a nerdy accountant type woman by day, and at night she becomes a sex goddess. And that's really the whole point of this thing. There's a corny romantic comedy plot with a cop who's an unremarkable stereotypical cop character who also happens to be like dreamboaty and cute to the office girls that work with patients. It's completely ridiculous. There's also a basketball scene that's like a music video in which Halle Berry proves that she can use her Catwoman powers to play basketball against a bunch of, I don't know, street basketball players, and it looks like a music video, and it's really strange. Otherwise, let's get right into the rotten reviews. We have reviews right from September of 2019, making this movie, of course, still relevant now. At 1 star, you know what is the worst part? It is not about Selena Kyle. No, that's not the worst part. Yes, Selena Kyle is actually Catwoman's name in the DC comic book universe. Her name is Patience in this one, so you'll have to have patience with that. 4 stars. Everyone hates this, but I enjoy it. Yeah, I actually enjoy it, but not for the reasons that it's Catwoman. It's just mostly to watch Halle Berry do this. Half a star. Thank you for whoever made this to showing us the worst side of superhero movies. Again, yeah, if you thought you were going to nitpick DC over Suicide Squad, I guess you should check this out first. Half a star. It is just that bad. 5 stars. The movie was actually amazing for 2004. I don't get why all the drama. You know, if you just break this down on the CGI they used to show Catwoman leaping across rooftops like a cat on all fours, it's pretty hysterically bad. It's very cartoonishly hysterically bad, and it doesn't age well at all. Even in 2004, it was like quite off-putting, except I was too busy just looking at Halle Berry on all fours to notice how bad the CGI was at the time. But yeah, judging it as a comic book movie, it's just ridiculously bad. Almost so bad it could be good. In fact, I can see this reaching like a cult status at some point in the future. It's believable to me. 1 star. Oh, it's bad when even the main actor knows the movie is bad and makes fun of it. Yeah, I actually saw an interview with Halle Berry where she accepted the Razzie Award for this, and she flat out said that this was a piece of shit. Literally said that this was a piece of shit movie, and she thanked the director and Warner Brothers for putting her in it so she could get the Razzie Award. Literally, that's what she said. Go check it out. Half a star. Listen, I don't have to say much, but if my arm was being pulled until I gave my honest opinion about this movie, I would only have one word: rotten. This movie is the shining example of what the rotten rating truly is on this platform. Bob Kane rolled over in his grave. Congratulations, Catwoman 2004. See, some of these reviews are coming from serious comic book fans of Catwoman, so yeah, they're going to be quite offended by this. Even Halle Berry and her sexy outfits aren't enough to overcome their disgust with it. Half a star. This is a disaster, awful. 5 stars. This was a revolutionary movie. It shaped the entire superheroes genre. The movie is about love, about the important things in life. The characters in the movie are being realistic and we can identify oneself. I even tattooed the logo on my ass cheek, but you can't see this. It's for my daughter only. If I could give this a movie more stars, believe me, boy, oh boy, I would. That's quite an interesting take on this movie. I almost want to meet this reviewer to find out if that's true. I hate to find out what I'm going to see when I look at their tattoo. 4 stars. Love the movie. It's a lot of fun and honestly don't know what all the fuss is about. Well, some of the fuss might be about the over-the-top crazy villain played by Sharon Stone. Her whole motivation is that her rich husband has dumped her for young hot models, or at least one young hot model, and she's like the older MILF type that's being neglected. And so for that reason, she becomes the villain in this movie, and she has developed a skin cream in which if you use this skin cream and you have bad luck, it will kill you and your skin will fall off. If you have good luck, it will give you the superpower of having like marbleized skin, but it will eventually kill you anyway because it's toxic. And she wants her company to continue selling this skin cream because I guess she thinks that's going to be profitable. It's completely ridiculous and nonsensical, but this is what we've got for a villain in this movie. Sharon Stone is still rather attractive in this movie. I don't know if some of that was like the camera filters because she was pretty old at the time this movie came out anyway. But no, Halle Berry still steals the show. I can watch this just to see her jump around in the cat suit. But let's move on. 5 stars. I love this movie. It is fun and a different take on Catwoman. More like Catwoman is a title. Okay, they're saying it doesn't really have anything to do with the actual character of Catwoman. It's just called that to get you to watch it. It's a little more than that because they have a ridiculous story about how cats find her dead body at one point and breathe their cat powers into it. So no, it's a little bit more strongly associated with Catwoman than the fanboys would like to admit. 5 stars. I fucking love it. I've watched it literally 10 times. Okay, I can see that, but just keep both of your hands in plain view when you do that, or keep them on your beer bottle or something. Don't put them anywhere else. Half a star. Oh yes, people. Before Wonder Woman came out, it seemed like writers and directors had no idea how to write for female superheroes. Instead of the brave, hopeful portrayal of Wonder Woman that we got in 2017, we had a film that focused more on ass shots and tight leather, and that film was Catwoman. Yeah, if this was written for women, it was written for women that also enjoyed Catwoman the way I did. Enough said. 5 stars. Amazing. LOL. 5 stars, compelling, politically sophisticated, and visually dazzling. Catwoman is elevated to the next level by excellent performances as well as direction. I believe you. 1.5 stars. The story and action is a complete mess and is very uninteresting. That brings up one scene I remember from this movie. The first time, there's a foreshadowing that cats are going to be more involved with giving Catwoman her powers. Before she actually gets her Catwoman powers early in the story, she actually finds a house cat on a ledge high above her in her high-rise apartment and climbs out on the ledge trying to rescue it. And that's the point at which the cop character, who becomes her love interest, passes by on the street and thinks she's attempting a suicide jump. It's completely weird, and you have to ask yourself, how did a house cat get up on this high ledge, on this high rise? It's really bizarre. Like a lot of stuff in this movie, it doesn't make any sense. It's only put there to move the plot forward, and they didn't give this more than like 2 minutes of thought on how to move the plot forward. It's so dumb. But again, the first time I saw it, that went right over my head because my eyes were just too fixated on Halle Berry to pay attention to how improbable the whole thing was. 1 star. I was expecting more from this movie. I was expecting a lot from using related stuff from the comics, but they didn't. I would have loved that. With that being said, it was poorly acted, predictable, and not interesting at all. This film is a disgrace to comics, movies, and mankind in general. One of the worst movies that I have seen. This is not the Catwoman that we know. That being said, for this being one of the worst DC movies ever made, I give Catwoman an F. Yeah, this is probably the worst DC comic book movie ever made. Just for the fact that it doesn't match the comics and it insults the comic book fans. I don't think like production value wise it's the worst, but I think that actually, yeah, it is the worst as far as insulting the comic book source material. 1/2 star. Catwoman more like evil black woman. Cats must not be girls, and B, have to be white because the color black is like puke and puke is disgusting. Honestly, this behavior against the whites and most especially white men is blurg. This must stop now. The actress should be locked in cat jail and must be cooking and farming my farm. Okay, this reviewer has just gone totally insane. I'm surprised they don't enjoy this movie. They should just have a few beers and enjoy this, I think. 1/2 star. Quite possibly the worst comic-based film of all time. It's hard even referring to this as a comic book film, as it is one in name only. Every character is a paper-thin approximation of what real people say and do in any particular scenario. The plot makes sense in only the most basic ways, and that's if you toss character motivation and common sense out the window. This seems like it would have been right at home in the early to mid-90s when comic IPs were little more than vehicles to sell toys. Yeah, except the problem with this is you couldn't sell a toy because the toy would be too sexy. So as a girl's toy, it wouldn't work. As a boy's toy, it would be appealing, but boys don't play with dolls, so it's a fail in all ways toy. Um, it's eye candy on the screen, but you can't really sell anything with this. That's the problem. 1 star. So terrible, like the CGI was just bad. The story was just really bad. It's very choppy. The CGI is not as off-putting to me as bad as is the actual choppiness of the editing. This movie, like, it will have something that takes place in a small area, for example, a nightclub. A nightclub's not a huge place, particularly not one that's portrayed in the movie, yet there will be like more than 100 edits just to show Catwoman approaching the villain. And the same with every other scene in this, like the simple act of picking up a teapot to pour yourself a cup of tea. This director requires like 25 to 30 different cuts and shots to show that. It is ridiculously weird. I don't know if that was intended to make this feel like some kind of action movie, but it completely just makes the director look like a retard, like a film school dropout. That was more jarring to me than the CGI, but okay. 1/2 star. Everything you have heard about this movie is true. I would put this in any of the top 50 worst films ever made. Avoid it at all costs. I disagree. Watch it once just to watch Halle Berry jump around in her outfits. 1/2 star. This movie makes Batman and Robin seem like the Dark Knight. Heck, it makes the Cat in the Hat look more badass. One of Hollywood's most pathetic yet. 2 stars. This was a sorry movie on Catwoman. 1/2 star. Horrible story, horrible casting, and horrible animation. 1/2 star. Film that ended Halle Berry's career. I don't think it did because this is a 2004 film and she was in, hell, she's in stuff right now in 2019. It's not good stuff, but she's still making money. 1/2 star. Great Mother of Celestia. The movie was great. Nope, I lied. It's complete trash. From the cheap CGI to the insult to Batman fans, and a sign that DC Comics is falling to pieces after Batman and Robin. Yeah, Batman and Robin was a low point, and then this came out and just like really hit hard, and I wouldn't even have known it was a DC film at the time. I really didn't. I mean, I knew it was Catwoman, but just the way this film was when I first saw it on home video and it was new on home video, I wouldn't have connected this to the Batman franchise at all. It's just so strange, and the production quality and all around crappiness is so off-putting from even Batman or Robin that I didn't even connect the two together. You know, this seems like it's in its own universe to me. Half a star, laughable, literally difficult to watch. No, it isn't really. I mean, you find Halle Berry difficult to watch in this? I wouldn't say that. Half a star. Oh, yes, people. Before Wonder Woman came out, it seemed like writers and directors had no idea how to write for female superheroes. Instead of the brave, hopeful portrayal of Wonder Woman that we got in 2017, we had a film that focused. Yeah, I've read this before. It's worth reading twice, I guess. Let's move on. I don't know why we're getting repeats here. Half a star. Worst comic book movie of 2004. Worst movie of 2004. Yes, because, yeah, she got a Razzie for this. Third worst superhero movie right behind Batman and Robin. Horrendous garbage, unwatchable garbage. It deserved all the Razzies. One of the worst movies ever. The acting, script, and casting are all horrendous. The movie is incredibly stupid and cringeworthy. The lead actress was severely miscast. The ethnicity of the titular character was wrong. Catwoman is supposed to be Caucasian. They didn't even get Catwoman's real name right. Well, no offense, but actually I find that's incorrect. You know, even the suit that Halle Berry wore covered up her skin enough that, you know, she could have passed as a white woman. I'm sorry, but contrary to people that might disagree, she is like mostly a white woman in this. You know, again, it's just a matter of the filter used and the makeup used. She could have been white and I wouldn't have known any different. If you wanted to say that it was off-putting to have a black actress in this, I would have, my first reaction would be, what black actress? Sorry, that's the way it looks to me. Half a star. This is literally one of the worst movies I have ever seen in my life. It shouldn't even have been released. 1 star. To start, the effects are terrible in this movie, and I'm surprised they were cool releasing it the way it was. Halle Berry is the only decent acting in this one, and it's decent at best. Soundtrack is awful. Her costume is awful. The bad guys were terribly designed as well. Plot was boring too. I wouldn't say her acting was good. It was very strange in a Jekyll and Hyde way. Very off-putting that she was this mousy, nerdish, shy character, and then all of a sudden, when she put on her Catwoman suit, she was this sex dominatrix, sex goddess character that was all bold, and it was completely weird. What part of Catwoman like transforms her personality in that way? It's weird because if I put on a Batman mask, I don't suddenly have Batman's demeanor and voice. I mean, Christian Bale might think that, but that's not what really happens. So it was off-putting, and her acting was just kind of weird. To me, it wasn't bad. It was just weird the way she did it. I suspect, though, that that's the way the director wanted her to play this, and it was just weird. 5 stars. This movie is an inconsistent mess with poor characters, editing, acting, and directing, but where most movies with these problems are unbearable to watch, Catwoman is hilarious. Hilarious film to watch with drunk friends. Okay, yeah, 5 stars. It's hilarious, and maybe it's even more eye-pleasing after you're drunk. Half a star. That costume project, that plot, that characters, that sense of humor, whole in this movie is maximally missed. I'm guessing with the bad English you're saying that it's crap. 1 star. It's beyond poor. Makes me cringe every time I think about the time wasted watching it. Yeah, but I don't cringe. This reviewer is named Natalia, so, you know, maybe she doesn't find it watchable the way I do. Half a star. Catwoman works as a comedy, but taking the fact it was done to be an action film, it's one of the worst ever done. Yeah, as an action movie, it's completely laughable. It's more like a romantic comedy than an action movie. 5 stars. It's pretty genius when you think about how ballsy it was for Warner Brothers to create a whole new character in no way related to the DC Comics character. Shame some people just can't accept it as its own thing. Only Catwoman in name. There's something appealing about Halle Berry in a leather dominatrix outfit jumping on rooftops in the dark urban landscape of Salt Lake City. For me, it's an action revenge thriller set in the world of beauty products and dark alleys. You know what? They're making a good point. The whole plot The whole bad guy plot of this revolves around an evil pharmaceutical company, uh, peddling cosmetics, experimenting on cats, etc. It is kind of over the top bizarre in its own way, in its own universe, where cosmetic barons are villains. It is pretty, I don't know how to describe it. It's its own universe. Half a star. A disaster from the beginning to the end. Watch it just to have a good laugh with your friends. One of the worst films of the 21st century. No, it's not that bad. 5 stars. I enjoyed this movie. Okay, like I said, I kind of enjoyed it, even though I could see it was rotten right away. 5 stars. This is one of my favorite movies. Anyone who didn't like this must have voted for Trump. No, because I think you have that reversed around, actually. That's the stereotype, at least. 4 stars. I don't care what the critics say. I really like this movie. Sharon Stone and Halle Berry are great. The story is lighthearted and fun, a welcome change from those grim Batman movies made lately. If they're serious, I kind of agree. Like, would you rather watch The Dark Knight all grim and serious and dark and brooding, or would you rather watch like a fun and sexy Halle Berry jump around and dazzle you? There's a case to be made for that. 3.5 stars, absolutely amazing. Half a star, there's nothing else to say that hasn't already been said about this embarrassment of a movie. The one thing I would like to emphasize, though, god damn the person who chose Halle Berry over Michelle Pfeiffer. I'm not sure if they're saying that's good or bad, because I didn't really care for Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman. But then again, I didn't care for those Batman movies either. I found, Tim Burton's '89 Batman to be particularly bizarre to me and more comical. I couldn't take it serious. That's just me anyway. 5 stars. I actually love this movie. The special effects is the only thing I didn't like. Enjoyed the music and Barry's performance. Yeah, the effects are very bizarre when you see her body like shooting across the rooftops on all fours, and the CGI is so bad. Half a star. Catwoman turns one of DC's potential stars into a cringeworthy, amateurishly written, poorly edited, and terribly CGI'd mess. 5 stars. This movie is the best movie ever. I love it, suckers. Half a star. Is it possible to give it 0 stars? This movie is so bad it couldn't even hold my interest in the last 15-minute climax. So bad. I'm not sure what the climax was because I don't remember it, so it must have been pretty forgettable. Half a star. Catwoman feels like a disgrace to the Catwoman herself, Selena Kyle. 5 stars. Catwoman is an awesome movie. Taste is all over there, I suppose. 1.5 stars. I feel Catwoman has earned a reputation it doesn't deserve. It frequently makes appearances on everyone's best of the worst lists because it's one of those so bad it's so good movies, but it's not. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's anywhere near good. What with its ADD editing, a barely there villain, and the threat to humanity coming from Cold Cream, but it's not so bad that you can't watch it or not understand what's going on. What Catwoman really is bland and should have been forgotten. Oh, I'll agree. There's nothing about this that you can't tell what's going on. You can tell what's going on plot-wise from one end to the other. There's just nothing memorable there other than the outfits that Halle Berry wore. Half a star. This catnip product is terrible. 2 stars. Hyperactive like a cat as a non-blood relative, leaving behind feces like one through cartoonish visuals and poor emphasizing, and how the characters react to the cat's hole is terrible. The overall choices and methods are mystical and dumbfounding, which is already enough to prove that it's genuinely one of the worst films there is. Wow, this reviewer loves his metaphors and stuff. I don't know what the hell he's saying. 2 stars. I say, what did I say it was? 1 star, 1.5 stars. I can't remember. Really, I can't. All I can, in my mind right now, the only thing I'm seeing is Halle Berry in her catsuit. Sorry. 3 stars. Decent to me. I love her outfit, but not the best storyline, but it's entertaining. Half a star. I couldn't even finish 30 minutes of it. I wanted to stop watching after the first 5 minutes, but it literally felt like an accident that I couldn't take my eyes off it. I wonder why you couldn't take your eyes off. Anyway, once I realized that was just burning minutes of my life away, I turned it off. Absolute garbage. Half a star. Hollywood needs to stop these empowering women film. They always end up being shit. I'm struggling to give this 1 star. Wow, this is written in June of 2017. This reviewer thinks this was an attempt by Hollywood to make an empowering woman film. I think he's got that turned around, like completely on its head. I don't know where he gets that idea from. Half a star. My God, this is horrible. There are way too many cuts in every action scene. The characters are weird, obnoxious, and annoying. Some of the abilities of Catwoman are just pushing it to the point that it's just cringy and embarrassing, and the music are just even more cringy. This could arguably be categorized as the worst superhero movie ever. For a budget of $100 million, this is a total waste. Halle Berry is better off as Storm in the X-Men movies. Well, she's very forgettable as Storm. I mean, I think she has, like 30 to 45 seconds of Storm in the X-Men movies. She was largely wasted in that role, I think. In any case, if this did have a budget of $100 million, again, I'll have to ask, and I've asked this for other films, where did the money go? Did it go to Halle Berry's salary? Or did it go to Sharon Stone's salary? I'm not sure, because there's nothing here that I would mistake this for a $100 million budget production. I don't know. That's very strange. 3 stars. This awful mess is one of the funniest things I've ever watched. 2.5 stars. Actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Entertaining enough. 1 star. As a superhero movie, Catwoman is feeble and scatterbrained. As unintentional comedy, it's actually quite astonishing. Yeah, could be. Half a star. Can't even get through the hour-long intro of cat crap. Half a star. Simply put, Catwoman is one of the worst films ever made, period. It's horrendous. How $100 million got put into this, I just cannot fathom. It is simply mind-boggling on every figurative level how poorly directed, written, edited, and acted it is. Seriously, I see direct-to-DVD films all the time that are better than this. Did I mention how disastrously directed this film is? Holy crap. The flow of the film has no rhythm whatsoever, and the scenes in their own tend to make no sense. Yeah, I'll agree with that. The editing is bizarre. Taken separately, you have like scenes that seem like a dysfunctional music video, other scenes that seem like an office rom-com of some sort. Yeah, it is very strange. 5 star, I don't care, I love it. Half a star, belongs buried in a litter box. 1.5 stars, not very good. This action movie is fairly boring and dumb. Halle Berry is much more of a Marvel actress, not a good superhero movie. I disagree. I don't think Halle Berry is any kind of comic book heroine or actress. I think she's very forgettable as Storm in the X-Men. I think that if you do cast her as a superhero in any movie, it's going to fail. She's just not that type of actress. It doesn't fit. That's not what she's known for. It's not believable. 3 stars. Halle Berry played the role, and there was a decent plot. Okay, I'm not sure what movie. Maybe they're mistaking this for another movie. Half a star. Not a good movie to watch. Half a star. Wow, and I thought Batman and Robin was bad. It still is, but this is worse. 5 stars. Greatest, worst superhero movie ever made. It's so funny and terrible in every aspect, from dialogue to the whimsical soundtrack of females grunting. I've watched this movie so many times and it never gets old. Hopefully we get more of the same with the new Barbie film. The new Ghostbusters is nearly as good, especially with the plot holes as well. 1.5 stars. A TV quality mix of sexy or sexist shots of tightly clad woman, hyper-exaggerated editing, and cheesy, simplistic action movie tropes. Should have been a music video if the director had any talent. I agree, parts of it come across as a music video, but music video for like songs that already had better videos. 1.5 stars. Sure, it's got style and Halle Berry in all her beauty, but it features a moronic story with absolutely no reverence to her comic book roots, and probably the worst editing I've ever seen in a major motion picture. I'll agree. Half a star. Halle Berry is an aristocat, but not this movie. Half a star. I give this film an F. Besides, did Halle Berry have to play another superhero if she plays the awesome Storm in the X-Men? Catwoman's costume sucks too, and her cop boyfriend doesn't realize she's Catwoman when she eats fish, climbs down walls, and hisses at dogs. I mean, why was this film made? It was made, I think, to get 13-year-old boys to see Catwoman, and maybe it worked, I don't know. Half a star. Catwoman is incredibly dated and possibly the worst edited film I've seen so far. The CGI is dated, the costumes are dated, and the score is dated. The action is dated, even the settings are dated. This pro-feminist film centers around an evil makeup cooperation, a standard rom-com plot, and a woman who believes that cats are mystical creatures with the ability to make cat women out of dead people. The story is nonsensical, filled with thousands of misguided choices. Again, they're saying that this is a pro-feminist film. I'm not sure what changed between when this review was written in 2016 and what I'm seeing right now in 2019. But for that to be true, then feminism then radically changed in those 3 to 4 years, because there's nothing pro-feminist about this in any regard, not the feminism I know of. Half a star, yeah, this movie sucks. Half a star, this is an awful superhero film and the worst DC film. 5 stars. 12 years have passed and I still don't understand why people hate this movie. I love it. This Catwoman is not just some lame thief with acrobatic skills. She's got superpowers from an actual cat. That is awesome. Halle Berry makes a great Catwoman. Wow, an actual cat? So, if I can find an actual cat, I can get some of these superpowers. That's what I'm reading in this. 2 stars. While Halle Berry's performance is not remarkably awful, it's still not as good as it should have been. Also, despite some fun CGI sequences, Catwoman is ultimately one of the worst DC films of all time. The cat-related taunts are as half-assed as the puns in Batman and Robin. The film is an in-name only adaptation of the character, which has relatively nothing to do with the character. Heck, it doesn't even determine whether it takes place in Gotham City or not, and has only one reference. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's in Gotham or where it is myself. It could be anywhere. It could be in just a generic CGI skyline. I'm not sure where it's supposed to take place. 1.5 stars. Catwoman is okay, not the best film from DC, but it's okay. The things I hated about this film were the action scenes. At times I thought I was watching a PlayStation cutscene instead of a movie. The Catwoman costume is okay, but I like the Batman Returns costume better. Halle Berry is actually a kind of likable Catwoman, but then again I like the Batman Returns Catwoman better. Well, her, at least one of her costumes in this one, it's just designed to show you her like incredibly brown and toned midriff section, her belly button. It does do the job in that regard. I think Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman outfit was more of a patent leather type of outfit. This one is just designed to get 13-year-old boys to just flock to the theater and plunk down their cash. So there's that. 1 star, because sometimes you need to see a horror movie. I'm not sure what movie that was. 1/2 star, this movie is laughable, terrible city shots, a predictable yet confusing story, and very bombastic acting, except from Halle Berry. 1 star, a Catwoman movie could really be interesting and a good use of the character in the main role. This is nothing like that, though. The plot seems as lacking as the revealing costume in the film. This is laughable, really trash. I think they're also mad because, yeah, her outfits were revealing, but not enough. We didn't get enough. What we really wanted was more. 5 stars. I loved this film. Great acting, great script. Halle Berry was super. 2.5 stars. Terrible plot, terrible CGI, terrible everything. But Halle Berry is awesome and it entertained me, and that's all that matters. Eye candy for sure. 1 star. Sure to be a cult classic. That's possible. Someday in the future this could be, but we're not there yet. But it's possible, I'll give it that. 1 star, terrible dialogue, terrible bastardization of a beloved comic book icon. Cat got my tongue? No. Cat got my hour-and-a-half of time. 1 star, there's a great deal of hate and criticism towards this movie with good reason. I do not understand why Halle Berry wanted to do this movie. Her reputation as a former Oscar winner cannot benefit from doing movies like Swordfish, Die Another Day, and this. I do understand why Halle Berry landed the role of the confident Catwoman clad in all black, but that is only half of the role. Berry flounders as her secret identity of Patience Phillips, who is meek, struggling graphic designer. Okay, well, they bring up something interesting. They bring up Swordfish, Die Another Day. Both of those movies featured her in interesting ways. Swordfish, of course, she had like topless scene, and in Die Another Day, she was in a very skimpy bikini. So I don't know. You can kind of make the connections there. Half a star. I'm reviewing this in 2016. This just shows how long the atrocious trash known as Catwoman has tormented me so much throughout my life. I'm sorry. 2 stars, one of the worst DC comic films out there. It was somewhat of entertaining, but the cheesy cinematic didn't redeem itself to make it decent. Annoying performance. Halle Berry's spotlight couldn't save this film from its own disaster. This is top 10 worst comic book films. Half a star, the worst superhero movie ever. No, we've had some worse ones even in the last 3 years or so. But anyway, I think this score is perfectly acceptable. 9% on the critics. Yeah, that sounds about right. 18% on the audience. I'm not sure because I think, I was expecting to see like a 30 something percent on the audience score just for the sheer eye candy of it. But apparently that wasn't even enough for the eye candy types. Yeah, it could have been better in that regard. So I'm gonna leave this one and call this one fair. The score is fair. It's fairly rotten. And I will see you again on the next episode of Rotten Reviews.